Last night, a 6-year-old super telepath named Petra Storm was saved and brought here to Zealand. She was saved from a battle between the Wacknookians and the Fringes people by one of our very own super telepaths from here in Zealand. Storm was successfully able to contact our woman and led her to the Fringes where the battle took place. The young Storm wasn't the only one saved though. She was found with her older brother David Storm and their cousin Rosalind Morton. In Wacknook, where the group is from, telepathy causes one to be viewed as a deviation. So when the three are found out, they fled towards the Fringes where the battle broke out and they were eventually saved. The three are now citizens of Zealand and enjoy it much more than Wacknook. Everyone here is so nice and friendly, says the younger Storm. It was definitely a strange but beneficial occurrence as we now have another super telepath on our side, and also because the group has confirmed that there are in fact at least 2 more telepaths in Wacknook, but experts believe that there could be even more. Starting in about a month, there will be sign-ups for missions to get these telepaths out. This will bring more jobs and more telepaths to our beloved Zealand. All those telepaths will be summoned to a location in Wacknook by one of the super telepaths that we have and brought here to Zealand where they will be taught how to use their telepathy properly. As for the 3 that have already been rescued, the older Storm and Morton will integrate into our society, while the younger Storm will become an apprentice to one of the super telepaths we already have. One day, she'll eventually teach other telepaths how to use their powers. She is one of the strongest telepaths we have, and clearly very talented and keen on becoming even better.
Months ago, explorers heard a telepathic cry, which turned out to be from William Jensen, 15, who comes from an unknown island called Groenland, where fugitives led by Diana Moon Blampers, 54, have made a government that made slaves.
Because of their resources, our government is still deciding how they want to approach the island. For more on this incredible story, we go to Lisa with the World News.
Several explorers left to a new land because of a call from a new young super telepath. Following a telepathic call from the north, they discovered William Jensen, 50. He lives on a new island called Greenland. There are all natives who have advantages against others are controlled with handicaps. So masks on beautiful people, weights on strong people, buzzer radios on smart people so they can't concentrate, etc. This island is a known criminal, Glampers, who was born without the power of telepathy, and after a life spent doing minor crimes, at the age of 21 started a gang called the Handicapper Generals, made up of non-telepaths who launched violent protests and attacks against the government and telepathic people, and left Zealand on a boat a year afterwards. Jensen contacted us because he felt unsafe because recently a 14-year-old convict escaped and he was found out to not only have telepathy, but also the newfound ability of flight, along with another woman. But they were then killed on national television by Glampers. He says, the HG men unite over the fact that they are strongly against telepathy. I know because my parents are both HG men, so ever since I realized I had the ability, I have felt left out and felt excluded, and I knew that I would never be fully safe and I had to leave this island. Officials are undecided about whether or not they should help the natives, as Greenland has a lot of natural resources which this country has been desperately lacking, such as selenium, since the lack of it has led to weakness and other health problems in a large part of the population. Along with the fact that we might be able to find out which gene enabled them the ability of flight and how would we be able to recreate it. But Zealanders believe that trying to rescue a primitive nation is pointless and will use more resources than it will save, along with the fact that the Handicapper Generals may return to Zealand, which many Zealanders are afraid of.
Use fuel that we already have so little of to save a land of primitives. It isn't like they'll know the difference. I say we should let the natural section do its job.
Yes, but how do you feel about Greenland possibly having more resources that we are seriously lacking, such as selenium?
I don't think pointless rocks are more important than getting rid of possibly keeping our children safe from violent gangs.
I think that healthy people like us shouldn't have to suffer for the minority who have been having health problems.
Yes, but how do you feel about the fact that rescuing Greenlanders will help us find out what gene enabled them the ability of flight and how would we be able to recreate it?
I think we're flying too close to the sun here. Flight? What's next? Extra limbs? You know what I mean?
I think we should think on how dangerous and unsafe it is for the children. It's not fair that my son should have to go to school by himself with a ton of freaks.
Okay,
How am I supposed to trust the land I'm living in when there are dangerous super beings with super abilities like flight just roaming around?
Seem undecided, and officials have yet to disclose any new information. All in all, Channel 1 News is keeping track and reporting all new information. Thank you. Back to the news desk.
From the other side of the world, a group of explorers have recently discovered a cult partaking in an odd and cruel ritual. Explorers now were trying to assess the state of the environment in northern Australia when they came upon a village where the people were collected together for the full day. They watched in horror as one person was chosen out of the community to be stoned to death. People were walking away from the bludgeoned corpse. The explorers overheard some people explaining how they would have a good harvest the following year. This implies that they seem to believe that by sacrificing one of their kin each year, the harvest the following year will be bountiful. However, what seems to be more unusual about this cult is that there is not just one large cult. Instead, there are multiple smaller cults scattered around the land, which all follow the same principles. Explorers are unsure as to why all these villages follow the same ritual each year, where they all originated from one area which expanded out, or did someone or a group of people cause all the towns to take on this absurd belief. Some people, including many of the explorers who discovered the cities, feel remorse for the children born into these communities and wish to help them. Border Security Officer John Dingleberry has stated that they will not be attempting any communication with the cults, as it would be an unnecessary risk and danger to try and help these barbaric non-telepaths. Another worrisome problem posed by all these cult communities is that chance that they may spread out enough to come in contact with our communities and try to convince or even force people to partake in their twisted lottery. Though the odds of this occurring is quite low, Border Security has issued a new telepathic wavelength to report to if anyone without telepathy is spotted. However, sadly as it is, this is not the only form of barbarism the non-telepathic people have caused.
In other news, the people of Pretoria, South Africa continue riots and clashes due to increased segregation due to racial discrimination brought upon by the government. This is now the third day of intense clashes between the government and civilians. The autopsy for the young boy who died in his family's protection has concluded and confirms that the lacerations to the neck and chest subdued him. The release of this information may start to slow the riots, as it was believed that the child was killed by a person from another race. Telepaths in South Africa describe the violence and danger that is present in the region. The riots are everywhere. You can't walk 2 kilometers without witnessing a clash between people and police. Rescue plans are underway for our African telepaths, but due to the vastness of its location, it will be a challenge. Fidelma MacArthur, a chief aviation expert, says that the trip will be the longest attempted yet, and we will see if we make it. We now introduce Nick and Lisa to the table. Even before the nuclear war, there was always discrimination between the government towards people of color. Attempts were made to end it, which almost worked, and after the war, it was sure to have ended. But here we are today. With growing concern in the region, telepath safety is on the line. The area is becoming harder and unsafe to live in, and may soon become uninhabitable. How did it get to this volume of danger?
I believe it all started before the war. 100 years ago, around the 1980s, there was discrimination and segregation equal to the volume we see today. So I think it's just a classic example of people not changing that therefore repeats itself.
I believe that this is actually different than how it was almost a century ago. Before the war, steps were taken to erase the apartheid, which did happen. But now, maybe it was a case of there were 2 groups on the same turf, which has brought upon a fight.
In my opinion, the boy's death was just one factor that, when added to many more, brought this out-of-control situation among us. With the cause of death concluded, I do not believe things will simmer down. There are still so many factors at play that will keep the intense battle going.
I agree with Nick. Not much will change with this one development. Although now that the results have been released, you can see the irony that the boy died due to the protection set in place. This just goes to show how out of hand the situation is.
How are telepaths supposed to cope with the events occurring? And how can they prepare for the future?
Fidelma MacArthur says that she is underway preparations to send a rescue team, but I strongly believe that is way too much of a risk. The telepaths will be safe if they remain out of the conflict. There are many regions in the nation where they are safe, and I believe it is in our best interest and in theirs to do that.
It is way too much of a risk to fly that far and bring a large volume of people back. It just isn't safe. We don't want to lose the plane, and we don't want to lose crucial crew that go with the plane. With such a distance to cover, it is not worth stretching the limits.
Well, it is obvious how great of this how great of a concern this is to our people and theirs. We can only wait to see how this plays out.
Just last week, the old people, who were thought to have perished after the tribulation, have been found far up north in the Sanchez Harbor. After an expedition to the north regions, the crew, led by David Axel, found what looks to be the tribe of the old people. After docking their ship, the crew says to have spotted smoke almost immediately coming from the north. Following this smoke led them to find the long forgotten old people. The crew stayed with the tribe for about 2 weeks, learning what they had to say to be very valuable information. One of the most shocking was that there wasn't actually a tribulation, but a nuclear war. The tribe was reported to be consisted of 40 people who retreated to the far north after what happened so many, many years ago. The Crees says that the tribe had far more effective equipment than what they had back at Wacknook. The Crew also mentioned their leniency towards religion, telling reporters the old people value knowledge and hard proof rather than a so-called God. With us, we have the leader of this expedition, Mr. David Axel, to tell us about this new discovery. Thank you very much for joining us today, Mr. Axel.
Thank you, I'm glad to be here.
Mr. Axel, what convinced you first to start this expedition?
Well, I've always wanted to travel outside Wacknook, and there's nothing except for the Blacklands down south. So we've traveled north.
Has the journey been rough?
Or certainly. It's gotten colder and colder as further up we've gotten. And by the time we got there, most of our resources were used.
Do you feel the journey was worth the resources?
Definitely. We got a lot more than we thought we would get.
After meeting them, what were your thoughts on the old people?
They are definitely different from the Wacknookians. They seem to be much less attached to God, and there's no such thing as true images. It changes everything we've come to know and believe.
All right, thank you for your time, Mr.
Thank you.
Broadcast today, we go to an animal shelter where all the mutated dogs have been adopted for the holidays.
That's adorable. I wish I could adopt one, but I've already got a clean. That's it for today. Join us soon. Channel 1 News signing off.